Candidate who has stayed away from the attacks, Libertarian Monds. The candidate has already made history by becoming the first African American on the gubernatorial ballot. Now he hopes to get enough votes to change his party's standing in the state. CBS Atlanta's Lesley Tanner has the story. We haven't heard a lot from him, huh, Lesley?
Not really, Jaquetta. Well, the issue is right now the Libertarian Party, it's actually not a party at all. It's recognized in Georgia as a political body. That makes it difficult for Libertarians to run at the local level. But if Monds is able to get 20% of the vote, that will all change.
I don't believe the other parties or the other candidates have really addressed any solutions.
That's why Libertarian Monds says he looked outside the traditional political parties to pursue the governor's mansion. The stay-at-home dad says he may not have the political experience of his opponents, but that could be a plus for some voters.
First, I would address all the experience that my opponents have, all the bureaucratic experience, and say, where has that gotten you?
When it comes to issues like jobs and education, Monds says it's time to give the power back to the people. To stimulate the economy, he wants to let people keep their tax dollars, something that's difficult when the state's budget is already hurting from decreased tax revenue.
Or you look at how you tax. Instead of an income tax, which really punishes producers, I think we need to concentrate more on the consumption tax.
And when you ask him about education, Monds has a unique point of view. He homeschools his children and says other parents shouldn't be punished for making that choice.
If you homeschool your child or if you send your child to private school, you not only have to bear the cost of that, but you also have to bear the cost of supporting government schools.
Democrat Roy Barnes and Republican Nathan Deal have both talked a lot about better funding for public schools. But Monds says that's not the problem.
We spend currently over 55% of the state budget on education. And to say that it's necessarily we're not funding enough, maybe we're just not being efficient with those funds.
Yeah, now the latest Rasmussen poll shows Monds with support from just 3% of likely voters, but he says he knows he can get to 20%. He even says he thinks he can get into a potential runoff. Now, we've also asked Barnes and Deal both for sit-down interviews as well. We have been repeatedly denied. Live in the studio, Lesley Tanner, CBS Atlanta News.
Well,